2.
Hey everybody,
Hi.
welcome to TFT, Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with
Oberon.
and me, Banshee. Welcome to the show. Welcome to your weird week. And what a weird week it was last week.
But we say that all the time. We do.
I know, we do. You know, there's so many climate things going on. It's scary.
Yeah.
But when we were talking about it last week and saw the cards that we drew, we weren't sure if it was about that. We weren't sure if it was about a number of things, but we thought maybe it was about something related to justice or to diplomacy. And we talked about it. We've got a few ideas here, but there's one main one that we're pretty sure it fit. But let's take a look at this. Again, what we pulled last week. For the major focus or theme, it was justice, upright. That's why we thought it was legal, governmental, or possibly diplomacy. You know, people trying to find what's fair and balanced, being objective, justice being served, you know, and things of that nature.
Yeah, I said that, didn't I?
Yeah. And I don't want to say anything until we get to the end. Let's just go through these cards and then we'll talk about it. What we will find out or see the mysteries, that was the Page of Swords upright. Again, leading us to believe that what we would find out would be a message concerning a legal matter or a diplomatic matter, because Page of Swords is a communicator, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
You know, and does some diplomacy work in a way. And so we thought, okay, what other perspectives need to be considered? The tarot, what other, and we read that either upright or reversed, and it was the High Priestess that came up reversed in this case. I really emphasized more of that, I think.
We give a nod more to the reversed.
And we thought the other perspective that needed to be considered here is, you know, this is about some people. You know, the other perspectives are, you know, that there are some people that are looking at this through a higher wisdom, and there are some people definitely that are looking at this rather naively or through a lower wisdom, wouldn't you say?
Exactly. Yeah. And of course, that just doesn't bode well.
And then card 4 was the overall impact, and that was the Seven of Pentacles upright, which is kind of like, I guess we have to wait and see where this is leading things, or it could also indicate that people were pulling back a little bit. Where there's a reluctance here. There's some thoughts about what this could mean or be happening. And finally, card 5, what could win the weird week or lose it? And it was the King of Cups reversed. So it seems like there are people that are going to definitely be very unhappy.
Exactly. Nothing is going to win the week.
Right. There could be anger. Yeah. There could be some backlash, etc.
It's a bad emotional ride.
Temper tantrum. Well, so what do we think this could have been talking about? Well, for one, there was a NATO conference last week, and NATO, you know, is all about diplomacy, you know, between the people that are in NATO. And at this particular conference, it was kind of important because Sweden was admitted into NATO, much to the consternation and upset of Russia. And also Ukraine was really trying to get their foothold in there. But it was a no to Ukraine at this time. They're holding off on that until after the war, but guaranteed Ukraine, they have a home in NATO. I have some thoughts about that.
But it all really seems to flow through these cards in a way when you think about the idea of Sweden, Page of Swords, you know, news, you know, diplomacy. The idea that, you know,
well,
Ukraine has to wait.
They're trying to do the fair and balanced thing, but in whose interests, we'll see.
Yeah.
The Page of Swords, you know, is about diplomacy and trying to smooth things over, even with Ukraine, by saying, look, we can't possibly admit you now while you're neck and neck with Russia, but we will consider you later. You definitely, and we will support you. You have our support still.
Some of that sounds like card 4, though, the position in the card that was pulled.
Well, let's get to the High Priestess a minute here, though. Whereas, is this a wise decision? Is this kind of a low-brow decision? The Seven of Pentacles, well, what do you say?
For
High Priestess.
High Priestess. Well, I don't know. I think the jury's still out on that one a little bit, too.
Right. Is this going to foment more problems? Is this with Russia and that and get them angrier, all of this stuff? And is that going to be helpful? So card 4, the Seven of Pentacles, I guess we got to see how this is going to play out, and if this is the right move to wait and see on Ukraine as well, It's possible that maybe is not a good decision. And card 5, Zelensky was not very happy when he knew that it was likely they weren't going to be admitted in the beginning. And he said pretty much that, But at the conference, they were trying to ease him and make him feel happier about it. And we also know that Putin can't be happy about all of this. Right?
Oh, certainly not.
Right. So the next situation, which I'm not that wedded to, but it is interesting, is what's going on in Russia right now. Putin has fired or removed a number of his generals. I think they're up to 11 now, with some that definitely came out this week from their jobs as part of an anti-corruption campaign, they say. But it seems to be retribution on those he thinks had any involvement in the Wagner Group rebellion or insurrection. So, is this a wise decision on his part? Going back, justice, this is his way of meting out justice in the Soviet Union. You're out. And in a way, that's probably a better way to mete out, for these generals, that he met out justice rather than kill them, poison. Secondly, the Page of Swords, diplomacy. Or we found out about this. It's been leaking out continually that these things have been happening. So I think it just communicated to us that that's what was going on. The High Priestess reversed, well, whether this is a higher wisdom on Putin's part, maybe it is in the sense that, maybe he feels if he just removes them from their job and doesn't take them out, maybe others will not be so quick to rebel, because taking them out might make more anger at this point.
Either way, it is some sort of sense of looking at this and making a decision. So you could also divide it up to an informed decision or not informed decision.
Yeah, the Seven of Pentacles, it's a wait-and-see attitude what effect this is going to have on the military, on people who are getting upset in Russia, on the rank and file's morale, with all of their generals being shuffled around or removed. How do they feel about that? And, of course, the Wagner forces, whether or not they're going to be incorporated in, the military.
Right. There was such a big push in the beginning, and now it's like a stasis,
And there's plenty of anger to go around. But here's something we thought really, poof, hit the target, hit the mark. Last week it was announced in the U.S. that a supposed credible witness that the Republicans had who could testify against the supposed Biden criminal family was indicted by the Department of Justice. It turns out, according to the indictments, that this person, Luft, I think is his last name, was a Chinese agent. And I think he also worked for Israel. I shouldn't rule that out as well. Charged with numerous offenses. So no doubt, this could be part of China's misinformation campaign, having this person with the ties to China trying to give this misinformation about this Biden crime family to people who are more than eager to hear about that to cause and foment more trouble in our country.
Which is the King of Cups reversed.
Which is it's angering us all.
Sure.
Like, how can we feel that people could be so duped by this? But then again, on the Republican side, they're thinking, you're just doing these charges to stop him from talking to us. But if he's been proven to be a liar and, a spy, I don't know how much his word can be trusted. And of course, who knows if politics is playing a role in this?
Well,
it's all crazy. So with the cards, I think you'll be able to see how that played out. Well, we could go quickly through it, but go ahead. What do you have to say?
I was just going to say, truth is the first casualty in a war.
Yeah, and even the kind of, tribalism war we're having right now in our country. And so basically justice is charges were filed, indictments were made. We were informed of this. The Republicans were informed of this. The high priestess reversed. Well, was this wise to do it this way? Why in the world couldn't this have been done sooner? Again, timing is everything. He was going to testify supposedly, but as we know, he's been in hiding for some time because he knew he was being investigated, I'm sure. So, Seven of Pentacles, we'll have to wait and see what the fallout from all of this is. We're seeing spin, we're seeing different things happening now, and he's still at large. And then finally, with the King of Cups reversed, a lot of unhappiness about this whole big can of worms.
Not good.
Not good. So, with that in mind, with that lengthy explanations in mind, but there were a few things this week. You may come up with your own as to what our cards last week.
Exactly. Drop us a line, make a comment here. I tend to let the more politically astute person really weigh in, but my feelings are pretty much the same.
Well, I'm sure you'll have a lot to weigh in on our cards as we go today.
So let's get started then.
Let's get going. And of course, we start with my Twin Tarot Oracle, which is a double major arcana cards, with half of them being, with one major arcana being the upright version and the other being the reversed. Let's see what our major theme or focus is for the weird week ahead.
And of course, we're filming in our regular live studio, so the presence of Sunny is quite overwhelming in a way. Let's just give it a shot, though.
Yes. Alrighty. It's reversed, and it's a card we are very familiar with reversed.
Oh, it's Death reversed.
Yeah, we've had that a few times in the first spot here. Well, change is needed, but nobody is willing to change. It seems like it's a struggle to make change happen, and change is necessary because things are dying on the vine. And, looking at that card, Mr. O, and the images on it, one cannot help but think of all the way too hot temperatures and climate stuff that's going on right now in the U.S. and has also been affecting, the European continent.
Over 50 years ago, as a very young tarot reader, one of the first cards I came across, and I said, oh, this is kind of larger than life than a personal person. This is like something bigger, societal, because the words expressed were political inertia.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
That's one of the first cards I encountered that I thought
interpretations.
I thought that that obviously you can apply it to the personal, but it's in this context for our reading is such a strong statement that nobody wants to do the right thing, or nobody is interested in hearing about it. And
change is hard. We could look at the climate. We could look at, some of our political parties and their unwillingness to change their attitudes, to work together again, and to really focus their attention on the matters that really need it. All this infighting over social issues while the planet burns, for example, or, while war is raging in Ukraine, for example, and while, people are hurting under student debt and other things right now. So we should be focusing.
Silence is death.
Yeah. Well, Mr. O, you're next with what we will find out or see with,
and of course, the Secrets Tarot.
Yeah.
Wow. I can just keep them in my hot little hands here.
I wonder if it could just mean maybe nothing's going to happen this week.
Well, that's the definition of inertia in a way. Nothing.
Nothing moving forward.
All right, so what will we find out, though?
Oh,
we'll find out that things will change.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Death.
We'll find out that change is necessary. You know, it's not happening, but what we're really coming to realize is how much we need to turn something around, whether it's what's happening with the environment and climate or it's in some other area.
You know, the idea of doing Your Weird Week was really about trying to resonate strongly to those big things that are happening that are bigger than our regular lives. And that's why we use different decks, because the idea of the same card showing up in the reading more than once just should be a strong message that energy is important.
And especially since it's upright and reversed here in this reading. And, you know, I think what we will find out or see, we really see the need that change is necessary. You know, this reminds me of the Black Lives Matter movement, for example, where, change is necessary. And even if we haven't had the kind of change we need, I think we have seen some changes in mindset. We certainly have seen more charges being brought against, for example, police who are overstepping the lines a bit. You know, whether real change is going to happen is hard to say. But I mean, this is an example of what I'm saying here is we know something is wrong and needs to change, and we need to change. We realize it now.
Well, it almost seems like it is talking about an epiphany. What we will find out, it's sort of like almost a mass amount of people saying something's got to change.
Yeah. I wonder if this has to do with the strikes. I wonder if this has to do with the strikes.
Are you talking about the Hollywood ones?
Yes, and also FedEx is going to strike.
Oh, that's right, too.
And UAW is talking about striking this year as well. I think what we're seeing here is labor saying, enough of this business as usual, corporations reaping too much profit at the expense of workers, and we're going to stand for change. Hollywood says the actors and the writers, they're standing tough. They said as long as it takes.
So what other perspectives need to be considered? And that is from the jointly owned and shuffled Tarot of Oppositions. And the Tarot of Oppositions is a little similar to the Tin Tarot Oracle in that it tries to indicate both sides of the card in some form. All right, so what is that card?
The way, Sonny.
And it's the reversed Knight of Wands. Now, of course, we can look at the upright Knight of Wands too and figure that into, a gestalt here.
Wow, I can't help but wonder if it is about the strikes, but it could be something else, but that's definitely kind of business-oriented.
Enterprise business.
And, it could be that this is showing that, there's no movement here. There's just no positive forward movement. And there's anger. There might be some aggressive tactics being taken. Like, will they try to get people to come in and replace some of the people that are not working, as corporations are want to do sometimes?
Well, in the positive look tonight, we are seeing a lot of bravery. We saw a wonderful speech by the president of the Screen Actors Guild, Fran Drescher. And there's other people who are giving some really good, brave stuff because they're pretty much in a no-win situation. They may just suddenly find themselves never at work again.
And if this is about climate change, the other perspectives that need to be considered is, is there a way? I mean, is there a way to move people towards, the light here, to see the light, that are recalcitrant and still rejecting, trying to mitigate this problem?
The Knights are about movement, and so there is a movement here. A lot of people are possibly thinking we can seize on pressing the issue because it should be done, but just as much there is that blowback, a number of people who are just really, fighting against it. So the perspective to understand is that there's just nothing bringing any of this together in any kind of reasonable dialogue.
Sonny,
it's one way or the other.
I 100% don't have anywhere to shove.
Okay, Sunday.
Thank you, Mr.
No cats were hurt in the filming of our program here.
And that's
right,
because I
Sonny?
let the gentle Mr. O handle it.
Oh, I'm so good at that. That's what.
All right, so what is the overall impact of this mess?
Baby. Love me, love me. Oh. Look at that guy.
All right. Well, what the heck?
The overall impact, the Chariot. Just drive.
Ride 'em, cowboy. I don't know. I think that's obviously positive. Is there forward movement? Perhaps. Something is moving, or somebody is making something move. Maybe there is a groundswell, an uprising, Maybe all of these strikes coming together are going to cause some changes, for example, if it's about that. Or maybe if this is about climate, maybe some moves will start to be made. But to me, whatever moves they make about climate are just, let's get together and talk about it. Let's have a conference, and it's like, no. We have to have action now.
Well, as the card itself, the Chariot, of course, is an archetype, from the major arcana, and it absolutely reinforces the idea of the bravery, maybe the bravery of those who are self-righteous.
The determination.
Determination is very good. Thank you. I like that.
Yeah.
But it also may be about a staggering momentum. When you think of a Chariot, you just think of something that really is not going to stop very easy until it gets to where it needs to go to some degree. And it is the uniting of different drives that can become a gestalt that just is literally unstoppable.
What did you say? A uniting?
Yeah.
Will people finally start working towards coming together?
Well, unfortunately, I think it will, because maybe something finally, happens that pushes people over that point of saying, okay, they weren't kidding around, they were right all along, or we were wrong all along, or something's happening and we need to ask for help. A lot of times the divide in things is about pride too. And, the Chariot in a way could be, have pride as a minor aspect, that kind of flow of, just everyone looking at the Chariot racing along, being proud of that. I know I'm reading a little extra in there, but.
No, I like that. That was good. All right, well, you know where we're at now.
Yes.
What will win or lose, depending on the card, the weird week ahead.
And I used the
Fingers
Global
crossed.
Fusion Intuitive Tarot. It's unique, although it does seem to have, its relationship to the typical Rider-Waite. There's a lot of things that are kind of unique about it. And I like it for this one because I think as an intuitive card, you could ask for, nothing less for this idea of what could win, hopefully. The weird week. All right. Dun, 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 dun.
It's
and
positive.
It's the Emperor.
Wow.
Yeah.
What does this mean?
He's looking like a really Evil Emperor. I just want to make sure, but I don't think it's the 5 of anything else. I think it's the Emperor.
Well,
yes.
Does benevolence rule? You know, are we going to finally get some decisions that really meet the needs of the people from some higher up, echelons of corporate America, or corporations, or political things? Is this a worldwide thing? Is this global warming? Is this some thing is happening here, and it's about maybe trying to help out? Well, a leader who has more of the best interests at heart.
I guess so, but when I think of the Hierophant, sometimes...
Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
I'm sorry. I said the Emperor, didn't I?
You did.
It's the Hierophant. I'm sorry. I should let you go first. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was thinking the Hierophant, but I said the Emperor. That's number 5. That's the Hierophant.
Okay.
You're
right. I should have saw that too.
It's societal order. And maybe dogmatic, and it could be saying like, yeah, this is a international emergency, and we have to effect control in order to save as many of you as we can.
Well, whether it's global warming or whether it's in the global warming
if
sense,
it's for that, maybe. Perhaps,
I almost wonder if it's our spiritual leaders that have to come around and start saying, to our politicians, corporate America, things have to change. Maybe it's possible. I haven't seen it yet because, there's always God's will. People leave it up to to the creator of the world to decide our fate. But maybe spiritual leaders will come around and say, it is our sacred duties to be good stewards of God's creation. And maybe, say we have to do something about this.
So we're going to do a rosary against Exxon? What?
Well, I don't know. And then if this is the case of the strikes, all I have to say is, it seems to me it may not win the weird week because there's too much emphasis on, the corporations wanting business as usual.
Yeah.
And
bingo.
I don't see that changing. And as for the climate, unfortunately, that might be the same thing. It might be the same thing that nothing changes in a week.
Well, just the idea that, maybe religion doesn't really have a strong influence over politics or things.
Really? In our country?
Well, in terms of this, because this is about the profit motive. The only thing that is stopping us from confronting global warming is because a lot of people are afraid of losing profit. Oh, what if we can't do this anymore? Oh, what if I can't do that anymore? People hate electric cars because they think it's giving in to environmentalists.
It's possible, too, that nobody wants to change, to things to change because they fear what they have to give up, which once again is about the status quo. They want to keep everything as it is because, they don't want to have to change the way they do things, recycle, whatever the case may be.
I could see where this does not apply to religion, organized religion, or spirituality as much as order. The Hierophant is often just about societal order, and that could just mean all of the rule of law. This could be talking about maybe somebody saying, well, we can save you a grand bargain, but this is what we'll need. We'll need all the money in Social Security. We'll need all the money in international, I don't know, just it sounds creepy as heck to me that
You're right.
Possibility of, people giving away their rights to have their order preserved.
What's the third card?
The third card is the Knight of Wands, who is reversed, unreversed.
Yeah, that's right.
The fourth card is the Upright Chariot.
And that was upright.
Yeah. And then the final card
You know, how many major arcana do we have in this reading?
1, 2, 3, 4. And one was repeated, so we have 3 or 4, depending on how you look at it.
And so, well, I'd say 4. And the thing is, that means this is a real important week in some ways, you know, where we're starting to see
it, aren't we,
where things are headed. And that is, again, the
Hierophant.
Hierophant, that's right.
Upright.
Yeah, you know, I want to record our cards so that we can think about where all this is leading. I'm hoping for better heads to prevail and that the Hierophant might be a wise person's, you know, will come around to doing the right thing for social order, but I'm not really sure here. So I guess we're going to have to see how things unfold.
It's time for a recap.
On stagnation. You know, on things not growing, things not moving, an unwillingness to change.
It's inertia. It could be starting at the top levels, working its way down. What we'll find out.
We need change.
We need change. Something's got to change. Maybe what happens just propels us into that idea that, no, we can't keep accepting what's happening.
Maybe some of us are going to try to push for change.
And of course, we could see that applying to both, you know, the climate situations.
And the strikes.
And the strikes.
And so then, what other perspectives need to be considered? Well,
Knight of Wands reversed.
There are some people who are trying to solve the problem and others who are adamantly opposed. And, you know, there could be some squabbling. There could be some...
bravery versus deceit.
It seems like inaction again, you know, or an unwillingness to take action.
Almost stalemate.
Yeah. And
but to that though.
But when we see what the overall impact is, it seems like there's some movement. There's some movement forward. There could be, you know, some signs of some growing discontent with the status quo, and maybe people, you know, determined to see change.
The Godspeed thing.
And finally, what could win or lose the weird week? It's our friend, the Hierophant, which can be good, which can be bad, you know, depending on the way you look at the Hierophant.
This is a card of excess when you look at it. I mean, it's like really a very naughty Hierophant in a way. You know, it just sort of looks like he's enjoying everything at the expense of other things. And of course, that could be the artist's own expression. But in this context, it sort of is too, that societal order really only preserves the most elite amongst us, and the rest of us, you know, sometimes just have to deal with whatever's going on in real time.
Well, and what it's saying here is that, you know, it's as if things just stay status quo, or maybe there is somebody out there who is going to try to enact, you know, some new standards, you know, I mean, but standards, trying to get people to see, you know, the light. I honestly think, as Mr. O said, that this is kind of like status quo. So I don't think there'll be, you know, if this is about the strikes, I don't think corporate's going to budge yet. I think things are going to be status quo. And if this is about climate change, seems like business as usual for the week ahead. We'll just talk about how hot and warm things are getting and how people are burning their feet on the pavements that are too hot in certain areas of the U.S. and maybe in Europe now as well, and watching the wildfires burn around us. So, that's it. That's what we have for you this week in this episode. Stay tuned next week when we see how this unfolds, when we come back for another Your Weird Week. Take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.